Sienna Harper leaned back in the old wooden chair on her porch, staring across the endless rows of lavender swaying beneath the summer wind. 8 days earlier, she had been another exhausted woman struggling to keep a failing farm alive. Now reporters were calling her business the hidden miracle of the Hudson Valley, wedding planners were fighting for reservations a year in advance, and investors suddenly wanted meetings. All because of a 147-second video. The viral clip had shown the lavender fields at sunset, purple waves glowing beneath golden light while soft piano music played in the background. Millions watched it within days. Strangers online called the farm magical. But none of them knew the truth. 3 years earlier, Sienna had sat shivering inside a freezing bathtub in a collapsing farmhouse, wondering if accepting her father's leftover inheritance had ruined her life forever. Her older brother Garrett had inherited the luxury apartment in Manhattan, investment accounts, and cash support. Sienna got 20 acres of neglected land, unpaid taxes, and a house so broken the roof leaked every time it rained. Her father had handed her the paperwork with a shrug. "At least you can't ruin anything important out there." Those words never left her. Now everything had changed. Amanda Pierce, the sharp-eyed lawyer who now represented Sienna, folded her hands across the desk. "You need to understand something," Amanda said carefully. "Families like yours don't divide assets based on fairness. They divide them based on who they believe will improve the family image." Sienna frowned. "Garrett got the apartment because they saw him as the success story. You got the land because they assumed you'd fail quietly." Amanda leaned forward slightly. "But if this farm becomes valuable, the entire dynamic changes." At the time, Sienna thought she was exaggerating. 2 weeks later, she realized Amanda had underestimated how ugly things would become. The meeting with Viridian Ventures happened on July 3, 2024. Sienna expected some arrogant investor in an expensive suit. Instead, Timothy Schaefer arrived wearing jeans and dusty hiking boots. He spent nearly 2 hours walking the property before mentioning money once. That alone surprised her. Most visitors treated the farm like a tourist attraction. They wanted photos and drone shots. Timothy asked about irrigation systems, soil quality, labor costs, sustainability, and long-term growth potential. At one point, he stopped beside the western field and looked across the lavender moving beneath the wind. "You built all this yourself?" he asked. "Mostly," Sienna replied. He smiled slightly. "Mostly means yes." For the first time in years, she smiled back. "Yeah. Mostly yes." Timothy nodded slowly. "This isn't social media hype," he said. "This is infrastructure." That sentence stayed with her. Infrastructure. No one in her family had ever spoken about something she created with respect before. Later that evening, they sat on the farmhouse porch while sunset painted the fields purple and gold. Timothy slid a folder across the table. Viridian Ventures wants to invest $2.4 million into expanding the business. Sienna stared at him silently. 3 years earlier, she couldn't afford a water heater. "What percentage?" she asked carefully. 25% equity. Amanda had prepared her well. Sienna took a slow breath. "No." Timothy blinked once, then smiled. "Good," he said. "That means your lawyer did her job." After 3 hours of negotiations, they finalized the deal. Viridian would invest $2.1 million for 14% ownership while Sienna retained complete creative and operational control. When Timothy finally left, Sienna sat alone on the porch long after dark. Then she pulled a folded sticky note from her wallet. "Barely worth the land." Her father's handwriting. She laughed until tears came. Not because of the money. Because for the first time in her life, someone had looked at what she built and treated it like it mattered. Construction began in August. Visitor paths wound through the lavender fields. The irrigation system expanded. The farmhouse was renovated. An outdoor wedding pavilion rose beside the hills. By October, Sienna employed 12 local workers. By November, her Instagram following crossed 600,000. Then Thanksgiving arrived. Her mother called 2 days before the holiday. "We're doing dinner at the house again," Vivian said casually. "You should come." No congratulations. No pride. Just politeness. Still, Sienna went. The moment she entered the dining room, she felt it immediately. Everything had changed. Garrett stood to greet her with a smile that felt unfamiliar. "Wow, Sienna. You look good." Her father hugged her. Actually hugged her. For years, she had been invisible at these dinners. Now everyone suddenly noticed her existence. Throughout the meal, Garrett couldn't stop talking about the farm. "The place looks unbelievable online," he said. "You're killing it right now. Right now." As if success were temporary. Then her father cleared his throat. "Timothy Schaefer contacted me recently." Sienna froze slightly. "He wanted to discuss logistics partnerships for your expansion." Something about the way he said it bothered her. As if the business only became legitimate once another wealthy businessman approved it. Later that evening, Garrett leaned closer. "I've been thinking maybe I could get involved somehow." Sienna looked at him carefully. "Involved how?" "I know investors, branding people, expansion strategy. Family should build together." Family. That word almost made her laugh. 3 years of silence. Now suddenly they were family again. Sienna left dinner early. This time she didn't cry in the car. She was angry. Because she finally understood something painful. Her family had never valued her unless they believed she could benefit them. By spring 2025, the farm exploded into a luxury destination business. Weddings filled nearly every weekend. Their Lavender skincare line sold nationwide. Boutique hotels partnered with them. Revenue crossed $4.8 million by June. Then Forbes published an article titled, "The Woman Who Turned Dead Land into a Multi-Million-Dollar Lavender Empire." That was the moment her family truly lost control. 4 days later, Vivian arrived at the farm unexpectedly. The second they sat down on the porch, her mother removed her designer sunglasses. "Your brother is struggling financially," she said immediately. Not hello. Not congratulations. Straight to Garrett. "What happened?" Sienna asked. "Crypto losses. Bad investments." Vivian folded her hands carefully. "We think it makes sense for Garrett to take over the property." For a moment, Sienna genuinely thought she misheard her. "The farm? This business has become too large for you to manage alone. Garrett has leadership experience." Sienna stared at her mother in disbelief. "I built this place." "Yes," Vivian replied calmly, "but the property originally came from your father's side of the family." Suddenly everything became crystal clear. They still believed this belonged to them. Even now. "No," Sienna said quietly. Vivian's expression hardened. "You have 72 hours to reconsider before we move forward legally." That sentence broke something inside her. Not because she was scared. Because even after all these years, her family still saw her as someone easy to erase. 3 days later, Garrett arrived at the farm. He stepped out of his truck wearing expensive boots and sunglasses, glancing around the property like he already owned it. "You really turned this place around," he admitted. "You didn't answer my question," Sienna replied coldly. Garrett sighed. "This business needs real management." "You mean you?" "Someone with experience handling major assets." Sienna almost laughed. This was the same man who destroyed his finances chasing crypto trends. She pulled the folded sticky note from her wallet and handed it to him. Garrett unfolded it slowly. "Barely worth the land." Their father's handwriting. For the first time, Garrett looked shaken. "You all buried me here because you thought nothing valuable could grow," Sienna said quietly. "That was your mistake, not mine." 10 minutes later, Garrett left without another word. 2 weeks afterward, Amanda called. "Your father withdrew everything," she said. "Why?" Apparently Garrett convinced him to stop. A month later, Garrett called her himself. "I owe you an apology," he admitted quietly. "I didn't realize how differently they treated us until now." For the first time in their lives, they spoke honestly. Not as rivals. Not as the golden child and forgotten daughter. Just two damaged people raised inside the same broken system. Today, the farm spans nearly 20 acres. They host over 40 weddings a year. Their lavender products sell nationwide, and the company generates millions annually. But the thing Sienna values most isn't the money. It's the old wooden kitchen table she refused to replace. The same table where she once sat counting her final $12 while wondering if her life was already over. Because that version of her, exhausted, terrified, and completely alone, was the one who planted everything.